Hello, everybody. This is your Arabian Ranches 3 market update. My name is Jordan, your community expert, and I've transacted on over 150 million dirhams of property within this community. In today's presentation, I'm going to be discussing with you the last 90 days of transactions. We'll also be talking about the upcoming handovers that will be taking place over the next 12 months. And I will also be doing an investment piece. So, for any investors watching this, that one is for you. So let's move on to how many sales there were. There were 111 in total over the last 90 days between November the 4th and February the 4th. Now, there are some outstanding contract Fs yet to be transferred, and I'm sure that will happen over the next couple of weeks. So what does this equate to? This equates to nearly 500 million dirhams worth of property transacted within Ranches 3, which is absolutely amazing for this community, which is not yet fully handed over. The top performing cluster was Bliss with 21 transactions. Now, I want to go into how all these transactions were broken down and what does this mean for Ranches 3 moving forward. As I mentioned, Bliss came out with nearly 20% of the market share. But what I really want to point out, which I think is the most impressive part of this graph, is that I now can see there's a transitional point within Ranches 3. It's transitioning from a townhouse community to a villa community. Previously, less than 6 to 12 months ago, the highest possible price you would be paying is probably around 4.8 to 5 million maximum. Now we have the introduction of the villa communities with Caya, Ellie, Saab, and the semi-detached twin villas in June. Now, that means there's a new price point that people are more than happy to pay to move into Ranches 3. And I think this will only continue over the next 12 to 18 months as the community matures. Caya, which are true independent villas, came in with 15 transactions. That came in second place, which clearly shows there's a demand for these types of properties. And also the reason why people find value for money in Caya and Ellie Saab right now, because if you compare this to any other areas like Dubai Hills, Sidras, for example, or Talal Al Gaf, Harmonies and Auras, they are more expensive than what you get in Ranches 3. So people still find this as a very interesting proposition, not just as an end user, but for an investor as well. I also want to point out there's a couple of handover communities that I've not yet handed over, which are Anya, Raya, and May, and they saw quite a good amount of transactions. Again, investors and users seeing great value here, buying in 3 beds at 3 million dirhams and 4 beds at 4 million. So really good value in this market still. And I still think this will continue to increase as the appreciation cycle of Arabian Ranches 3 matures. Today, I wanted to focus on the 3 villa communities. And I wanted to go through that in a little bit more detail. So the first community to discuss is June. These are the semi-detached twin villas. It's been a really popular product. Not a townhouse, not a true independent villa. It kind of sits in that middle category. And 4 beds here you can buy at around 5.7 million. The built-ups are good. They're 3,100 with plot sizes of nearly around 3,300. There are some bigger plots, but they are very limited, and they go up to around 4,500 square foot for the 4 beds. The average price point, I would say now, has moved towards 5.7 to around 5.9 for these 4 beds. There are a couple of cheaper units for highway backing at around 5.6, 5.7 at the moment. There are also some 5 beds, not as many in the market, but they're priced between 6.4 to around 6.9, depending on their position. They're about 300 square foot bigger in built up than the 4 beds, and you see that extra space mainly in the bedrooms. And the plot sizes are around 4,500. In this video here, this is the June 4-bedroom walkthrough, 2 family lounges, a really, really good layout. And this video here just basically show you an aerial view of the community. Now let's have a look at the transactions that took place in June. There were 10 transactions in total, 8 of which were 4 beds, 2 of which were 5 beds. And what's interesting is if we have a look at the last 3 transfers here, you can see they all exceeded 5.8 million. So I really think that's your benchmark now moving forward. There are some other units that have signed contract Fs at higher prices than these, and these are for the bigger plots, because it's simply just limited inventory in the market for them. There were 2 5-beds as well that transacted, 6.4 and 6.9. I still think we have time for the appreciation in this in June. I think this will continue. It's only 50% handed over right now. So I think as residents move in and the community occupies, I can see these prices definitely increasing. Now, moving on to my this is Caya. These are real independent villas, best located in terms of the master plan, right opposite the Saab where the school's going to be. You get 3, 4, 5 bedrooms here. 3 beds, very limited supply of these. Emaar can build as many as people wanted. It's really popular. They're transacting at around 6.7 million now. Really good build. Some bigger plots. I actually sold one myself, 7,000 square foot. We've actually transferred on that today as we speak. So that's a really interesting one. That's a developer who's actually going to be doing full renovation and bringing it back into the market in 12 months' time. So it'll be interesting where the pricing goes. There's also some 5 beds. The average price there, 11.5, not been as popular. Still a couple of transactions taking place. Good size. Okay, so let's have a look at the transactions. There were 15 in total, mainly 4 bedrooms with 12 of those. Average price was around 7.55, I should say. However, the last couple of contract Fs that have been signed, I do know they are exceeding 8 million in some cases. There's a few transactions here already over 7.8, 7.95, 8.15. And I think these will only continue, again, like June, to increase as the community matures. We're probably only, 50% through the handovers right now. Compare this to the likes of Sidra in Dubai Hills or Harmony in Talal Al Gaf. It's still really, really good pricing. On average, below around 1,800 dirham per square foot. Still got a long way to go. So investors keen to buy in here, and obviously end users loving the space as well. Now we move on to this part. So this is obviously is design and branded, so the finishing is a little bit different to Caya. They have a more of a darker finish. Here is, and again, with any of these properties, do let me know and we can get that arranged. So 4 beds here, a little bit more expensive than Caya, at 8.3 and above. Built up similar, around 4,100. Plots are smaller, but I think the main reason they're going a little bit more expensive, number one, obviously, the design. Number two, obviously, their OP price was higher. So naturally, those are higher price. The 5 beds, similar really to Caya. let's see how Ellie Saab does. They still transacted well. There was 7 transactions that have taken place, but again, this community is really only probably 10 to 15% handed over. So we're really in the early stages, and there's clear demand though. All around the 8.5 level over the last 3 transactions. Now, moving on to handover progress. There are a couple more clusters that need to hand over within ranches. Bliss 2 will essentially be a replica of Bliss 1, a little bit of a different style to your traditional townhouse. It's more about kind of terrace living space and more of a focus on the built up. Prices here starting from around 3.2 million. Project status, according to DLD, is 100%. So this will be handing over, we expect, well, pretty much now or over the next couple of months. Raya will be handing over, we hope, in the next quarter 2 maybe. Project prices for this starting from around 3 million for a 3-bed. Again, project status, according to DLD, is at 100%. So these properties are ready to be handed over. I expect the Emaar, as they always do, will stagger the handovers. They never want to saturate the market, which I think is great. They want to protect the prices for their investors. Anya 1 and Anya 2 will come towards the end of the year. There's a lot more units in Anya 1 and 2 than there is in Raya. Price here is slightly cheaper than Raya, just because there's obviously a later handover. The project's not fully completed yet. It's 86.65 according to the land department right now. And May will be the final cluster in 2027. Probably the best located townhouse cluster of ranches, right next door to the souk. However, prices here are very similar to what Anya and Raya are, simply because the OP was higher, and sellers, aren't desperate to sell here. They're priced at 2.9 in line with the market. Here's a few videos of Raya and Anya. So you can see the properties are pretty much built, they're finished, and they're ready to be handed over into the market. And for anyone that hasn't seen the master plan, this is the full master plan itself. So you have the souk here, and probably more or less all this side of the community is now handed over. Here's Ellie Saab and the central part that runs straight through Caya and Ellie Saab. As I mentioned, May probably the best positioned townhouse cluster right next door to where the school's going to be and where the souk, which is already opened. And then we have Anya, Raya, and Bliss here. So, as I mentioned, there is a lot of potential for investors to come into Ranches 3 right now. A lot of investors believe just buy off plan directly from a developer, and that's the best possible way to invest into this market in Dubai. But a lot of the time, the opportunities are already in front of you. You just need to know where to look. Now, the first thing I would say about Ranches is that developed by Emaar, there's no question. There's lots of brand value there, both locally and internationally. And there are buyers in the market that will only ever buy from Emaar. It's kind of a prestigious thing. We know any Emaar projects, any Emaar communities, there's a heavy focus on infrastructure. And there will always be demand for these types of properties. Whether you're in a good market, a bad market, Emaar build infrastructure. They don't just build properties. The community itself is only actually 60% handed over. So in terms of the appreciation cycle, we're still not fully there yet. So there's a lot of potential for the growth. So buying in now is still a really good time. And you can rent the property out straight away. So you can receive your rental income while the community is still maturing and the appreciation is happening. Next, we have the location itself. Now, when Arabian Ranches 3 was launched originally, people said, who would go to this location? Well, let me tell you, since Emaar went to this location, every other developer has followed. You have the biggest developer in Abu Dhabi that has come over, being Aldar. You've got Miraz that are building their master plan with the acres, and you have other developers that are building their master communities around Ranches 3. It's very well connected and it's central to all Dubai's expansion plans. We all know Dubai is moving towards the south, but it sits right in the middle. 15 minutes to the new airport. You got 15 to 20 minutes towards downtown. So it's a real good central location. The price per square foot is still really attractive, all below 2,000 dirhams. I also see a really good renovation opportunity. Now, a lot of people miss this because they believe they have to go to older communities like the Springs, Emirates Living, to renovate a property. However, I do see opportunity in these newer properties that, let's be honest, they are copy and paste of each other. However, if you are to buy a brand new property within Ranches 3, making some small changes, changing the flooring, maybe wrapping the kitchen, changing the bathroom slightly, just making it unique to the market. I've gone through this process with owners and we've achieved record transaction prices on the resale. So if you are interested in something like that, especially now with Caya and Ellie Saab coming into the market, let's talk about that in a lot more detail. And finally, the school will come into the market last. That will be the final piece of the puzzle, and that's where we'll see the community fully matured. So what can I do for you? There are many brokers out there, but what can I do for you if you want to work with me? So if you're an end user looking for your home, number one, I'm a community expert. What that means is that I have established relationships with owners in the community. So they give me first access to properties before you even see them on the portals in many cases. So you're the first to actually have a look at these units. I also help structure the finance deals. So a lot of people believe if a property is not yet handed over, that they can't actually get finance or a mortgage on them. Now, that's true in some cases, but because I now have the experience of working with different lenders, I now know which lenders will lend on these types of properties, especially investors looking for Anya, Raya, these properties. We can help you with securing finance on these. Renovations, as I mentioned, I can help you with that full process. I work with different contractors. I can help you with permit requirements, and I know what will add future value to your property in the future. Essentially, I'm a one-stop shop, a source of all information for Ranches 3. For sellers, what can I do for you? Well, I offer you market share. I have amazing exposure for your units on and off the portals, so I can deliver you qualified buyers from day one. Record transactions. I've been known to do multiple record transactional values within Ranches, so I can maximize your return on investment. But not just that, I'm not speaking to you for a listing. If you're going to sell your property, you need an investment strategy, because originally I expect if you bought this from the developer, you're an investor, right? Which means you need to know where you're going to redeploy your cash into your next project. I offer that strategy. I offer advice and portfolio solutions if you are deciding to reinvest back into the market before we sell your unit. So that cash isn't just going to be laying there in your bank account doing nothing. Essentially, though, if you're an investor, looking to get into Ranches 3 as of today, I offer a turnkey investment solution when you invest there. From start to finish, and it's a full hands-off, hassle-free service. If you want more information on that, we can have that conversation and just reach out to me. So I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you need me for anything, you have my details here. You can contact me directly. You can send me an email, or you can just follow me on my Instagram, JY the Property Guy. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you.